You know what day it is? It is the day after the 10-year anniversary of the Jim Cantori Thunder Snow in Plymouth, and it's his birthday. Happy birthday, Jim. And there's the barometer falling below 29.8. Out the window, it's all wintry looking. The air is coming in from the east-northeast, and the temperature is climbing. We're up to about 36 degrees. And let's go out a couple different doors. First, the front yard, where I got home last night after midnight and spent close to an hour shoveling about 1.5 inches of snow. And it was dry snow. Oh my God, this is so heavy. And there were about 2.5 inches as of, oh, that's just ice right there. There were 2.5 inches at that time, and it was snowing steadily. And so now we got another 1/2 inch on top of that. It changed to sleet. So 3 inches, it's a little bit crusty on top, and it's raining, and it's gonna be a steady rain, and this is not gonna be a pretty day at all. So 3 inches, it seems about all we get around here in North Weymouth at one time is 3 inches. All right, let's get the animals, go out the backyard. Oh, this is not a pretty day. Go ahead, T-Rex. We're gonna do this a little bit like when I go skiing, and I do it in several segments because I gotta do other things. Not a good day in so many respects. I hate reporting bad news. 2, 3, T-Rex. Shoveled him a little path this morning at about 1:30 in the morning, and he used it. Oh, he's sinking down. It's knee high on T-Rex, and there's some Maine Coon track, and a little birdie track, and Maine Coon track, and all I hear is dripping. So the reason we're going to do this segmented is because I'm going out this morning while there's still a bunch of snow and stuff on the ground, and it's raining, and it's going to pour, and this whole backyard's going to turn into a snowy, icy swamp that is going to refreeze tonight. But it's always worse somewhere else, like in the southeastern United States, where it was warm. Last night it was about 70 in Georgia. Temperature was falling into the single numbers in Nebraska, and that clash of air masses produced a huge area of severe weather and devastating floods. I don't think I've ever seen such a widespread flash flood warning as 1:30 this morning. Looked like almost all of Kentucky and Tennessee going into West Virginia was having flooding. South of that, severe thunderstorm warnings, solid with embedded tornado warnings right down to the Gulf of Mexico. I looked at the severe storm reports, and there were no tornadoes, but there were 150 reports of severe weather. And Muscle Shoals, Alabama, gusted to 84 miles an hour in a thunderstorm. So a lot of times it doesn't matter whether it's a tornado or severe weather that gets your house. And then the images coming out of West Virginia at first light this morning are horrible, reminiscent of Helene, just a little further west and north, I believe. But the waters are out of their banks, with some rivers going as high as some of the locals have ever seen them. So this storm is a full latitude monster winter storm. And for New England, look at the temperature map at 7:30 this morning. Boston was just going above freezing with a wind from the east. Cape Cod and the islands still on the cool side in the 30s. Northern New England, up around northern Maine, still about 5 below zero. And then I think what's most interesting in the Connecticut River Valley, Pioneer Valley, Westfield, Massachusetts was still about 25 degrees, but the wind is from the north, gusting to 21. That is that cold air drainage from the 1032 high pressure system to our north, still pushing colder air in beneath the warmer air that's going over the top. The temperature on Mount Washington to start the day was up to 15, kind of isothermal, going up the Otto Road, and the wind was from the south on top of Mount Washington. Yet down there in the valleys and here, the wind is from the east and the northeast. And a good way of seeing that is looking at the velocity azimuth display. Our radar can show what the wind is doing up in the sky. And in Boston this morning to start the day, the wind is from the east at about 10 to 20 knots, below 2,000 feet. Then it comes in from the south and the southwest, and it gradually picks up all the way to the top of the cloud, which is 30,000 feet, 91 knots from the southwest over the top of this cold air. This storm is all it can be and more. And I'm going to go in and study the rest of our day. Next time I come out, it's going to be probably deep water around here. Uh, the storm, look at the storm in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. It's down to 944. That is amazing. I think that's an incarnation of this one that dropped our Thursday snow about 4 days ago, right? And it went up to Newfoundland and it was a blizzard. And it's so massive, it's going to have impacts down the road, including, I think, what's going to happen to this potential Thursday storm, which is still there, but it has changed dramatically in favor of people that don't want a storm. We'll come back in a couple seconds. It'll appear like a couple seconds, but it really is going to be a couple of hours. But we're going to watch Steve here. Looks like we got about a fourth of a Steve, measuring the snow in Steves. I do have another ruler over here. Should I grab the ruler? Yeah. Do you want to hang on while I grab the ruler? Shovel. Let's go measure it. See how much it is compared to Steve. Steve, come back out here. Do a little shoveling here. Okay, it's about 4 there, but there was already some on the ground. So I think 3 is going to be the number. All right. Look at that sideways rain. Yuck. Oh, this is the worst. All right, come back in a few minutes, which will actually be a few hours. How about 3 hours? That was 8 a.m. Now it's 11 a.m. and I am ready for this weather. I've got on rubbers, slickers, as my dad used to say, foul weather gear. And it's because we got foul weather. And we do have some dripping going on for sure. Move it while you can, but unfortunately, it's more dense than mud. The ground is so cold. Well, that's good news right there, that is not frozen underfoot, but this is frozen underfoot. And the images coming in from around New England this morning, and we're only halfway through this storm, are already somewhat alarming. Ashley, meteorologist in Connecticut, and this is from about 9 a.m., already had more than 1/4 of an inch of glaze, that is rain, falling into sub-freezing layer, and branches are breaking. TJ Del Santo, I believe Situate, Rhode Island, also says some branches are coming down near his shed, but so far no damage. But it's going to get worse before it gets better, and for me to try and tell you what's going to happen for the rest of the day will be like me trying to tell you what's going to happen in the third period of a hockey game that has not even happened yet. Speaking of that, last night was pretty exciting, huh? USA beating Canada. Beating. I don't really like fighting in hockey, but thankfully a hockey game did break out after the fights, and a tremendous victory there. And so you call the play-by-play on things. And another issue here is what's happening at the ski resorts. It's a powder day, and everybody wants to be there. I looked at the cam. Look at the cam there at Jay. All the lifts are running because the wind is so high up in the sky, it's not mixing down. Unfortunately, more people want to ski than can be accommodated in the parking lots, and the road crews having a very difficult time keeping up. This is 108 there that goes up into Smuggler's Notch from the village of Stowe at Mount Mansfield, where Carl reports people are getting sideways trying to go up that hill between the Matterhorn and the base of the ski resort, and I would think that the parking lot's getting pretty full, and 108 has had temporary closures, and he says it's going to be a nightmare probably for anyone because it's going to keep on snowing, and the ground is so cold, and the crews are trying but can't keep up when it's snowing 1 inch an hour, and so many people trying to drive, so nightmare at some of the ski resorts. So we got the traffic problems, we got the electricity problems with power going out, and then we're going to have the refreeze problem at a place like my yard. And should I go down and look at the rain gauge? I emptied it out. I didn't get the liquid equivalent. My guess would be that the 3 inches or almost 4 inches of snow with some sleet that I got probably melted down to about 0.5, and I put the gauge back in at 8 a.m. And so since then we've picked up another 1/4 of an inch, and I think by the end of the day we're going to be up closer to an inch. And so this may come out to 1.5 inches of liquid equivalent that is going to refreeze. And the refreeze process includes everybody, raining, sleeting, or not. But I think here in the Boston area, even though Peter says it went from rain back to sleet around 10:30 in Gloucester, it's back to rain again. So the play-by-play is going to be really interesting, and the NAM has come around to a colder solution than what we saw 60 and 48 and even 24 hours ago. It's making more sense now that the low is going to go along the south coast. One more thing before I show you the play-by-play on this. The temperature on Mount Washington, which earlier was 15, has gone down to 5, and the wind is still from the southeast at about 40 miles an hour. So the heavy wind is up in the sky, and it's not going to really mix down until tonight and tomorrow. And then when that happens, that's the real deal refreeze. So here's the NAM 3K from this morning's run. And instead of having a 970 something low moving into western and northern New York, like it said yesterday, now it has a 984 wave, kind of just looking like it's sitting there for a second, but it's actually redeveloping over Long Island. And that's going to go right up across Boston. And with that, there are going to be thunderstorms and torrential rains and maybe some wind gusts of 50 from the south over Cape Cod briefly. And then the blue is snow, and the red is freezing rain, and the orange or purple is sleet. Orange on the other maps. Purple is sleet. And so I've had to really slow it down here to call the play-by-play. So where there was a gap, downpours, thunderstorms come in, and then they move out, and then the precipitation is done as the low gets east of Boston. The cold air is not going to rush right into Boston and Cape Cod because there's going to be a bit of a mixing bowl effect where initially it may actually get a little warmer this evening and then get colder from Boston to Cape Cod. And the snow there in Maine and freezing rain is going to be only gradually shutting down. And then as this low goes off the coast of Maine, it is a 974 millibar low just at about midnight tonight, and it's bombing out. It's headed for the 960s and 950s as it exits, and the pressure gradient is going to tighten up like crazy, and this is where the wind comes in for all of us. Tonight after midnight, it's going to start gusting 50 to 60 miles an hour. We're going to have the upslope snows and the lake effect snows coming all the way across from Lake Superior, Lake Huron, and Lake Ontario right in through New York and parts of New England. Upslope snow continues, but the mountains up north are going to be so windy and so cold tomorrow. I think lower elevation skiing will be best tomorrow, but it's going to be 12 to 18 inches of fresh snow because this colder solution means no sleet or no rain from probably about Sugar Bush to Sunday River to Sugarloaf. It's just mostly a snowstorm, and I'm not going to go through the details of the accumulations. It's 12 to 18 inches of snow. The problem is the areas like where Ross is today. Ross sending the video of needles, little snow needles from about 11 a.m. says it's a powder morning, but I think here we're going to end up with sleet and freezing rain, Ross, and hopefully it's more sleet than freezing rain because sleet won't really do any damage, just makes skiing equally as nice tomorrow. And with the lower elevation there, you'll probably have another powder day tomorrow, even though part of the powder will be sleet. So tomorrow is the cold air advection, and then after this, all eyes on what's going to happen across the eastern United States as a system that came into the Pacific yesterday has kind of fallen apart a little bit, but it's going to regain traction, and it's going to aim for the East Coast on Thursday. I neglected to show a couple things I wanted to show. As for this afternoon, I meant to show this radar. This was from about 10:30. The blue is snow. And then you'd have these warnings. There was actually a tornado warning coming out of West Virginia, and also a severe thunderstorm warning on the rain snow line in western West Virginia. So that's all the kind of action we're looking at this afternoon. That kind of heavy rain and the thunderstorm, probably not severe thunderstorm, but there could be some damaging wind gusts just because the air coming in from the south. And again, that's Narragansett Bay to Nantucket Sound. All right, so now back on to airplane going by up there. Which way is he going? Probably taking off. I think the planes are taking off towards the east, but once they get above 4,000 feet or so, the wind's going to start ripping from the southwest. And it's up to about 100 knots, by the way, at 30,000 feet. We talked about that earlier. And so that ripping wind is going to be mixing down, not to 100 knots, but tomorrow. And let's go to the Canadian. The models have shifted definitely with a flatter, faster flow for this storm that's going to be coming out of the Rockies and crossing the Mississippi River Valley. And here we go with the play-by-play from Pivotal Weather, the Canadian model, and it's all of them have waffled a bit. That's when you go back and forth, and windshield wiper effect. And there goes our storm off off the map, bombing out over the ocean, slowing down. Another huge hurricane force low in the North Atlantic, and that 1050 high coming out of Western Canada with record cold. And the upper level flow, instead of having a sharp digging trough, is more of a flattened, broad upper level low above that high pressure system. Very interesting. And then it looks like a possible blizzard there coming out of Oklahoma into Missouri, and the rain snow line coming way back down into Mississippi, with this low coming and tapping the Gulf of Mexico and then going to the East Coast. And look at it on Wednesday night, or this is going to be Thursday at 1 a.m. So it's Wednesday night. It's a 10-10 low going off of South Carolina, with snow for North Carolina again and freezing rain in South Carolina. A 10-10 low, as I said many times this year, is not that strong a low, but watch what happens as we put it back into motion. It's going to strengthen rapidly. It's reaching up with a little bit of snow from Long Island to Cape Cod and the islands, and it looks like it wants to sail out to sea. I'll believe that when I see it. Here, we'll stop it again at 1 a.m. on Friday. So this is Thursday night, 24 hours later. It has deepened down to, do I remember, 974 or 976? I can't remember, but that's a deepening of more than 30 millibars in 24 hours. The definition of bombogenesis is deepening 24 millibars in 24 hours. So that'll be bomb cyclone number 3, beginning with the one that went off here last Thursday, the one that's going by now, that's going to bomb out tonight, and this one's going to bomb out supposedly safely out well south of Nantucket. But I can almost guarantee a snowstorm for at least Cape Cod and the islands, and I'm going to have to watch the other guidance come in this morning. I think it's going to shift back to the north. There's a negative tilt trough off to the west of New England, and there's such cold air. I believe that we are going to have impact from this cyclone as it goes out to sea to our south. So I don't think that the option yesterday of the Canadian inside runner is a possibility now, but certainly a coastal nor'easter, if not blizzard, pretty close to Nantucket on Thursday night into Friday morning. And then after that, that takes off. We have cold, and it warms up in the west a bit, and we still have these Arctic waves coming along to the north of New England with reinforcing shots of cold air. So there's no thaw or meltdown. It's just going to stay relatively cold, given that it's late February. And now where the sun comes out, you'll have some sunshine, and you'll have some melting, and you'll be able to move some of that ice that's on your sidewalk. But it looks like another system trying to come at us with a wintry mix out there around day 10, which would be a week from Tuesday. And that looks like just kind of regular, not extreme weather. What we're experiencing right now is extreme weather. And I shared some videos on X a little earlier. I'm trying to figure out Instagram. Maybe I'll try and do some Instagram too. I'm not going to just spend the whole afternoon calling the play-by-play in the storm. I'm going to make a brunch and have a Bloody Mary. And this is what it was like out in the driveway earlier, and the rain coming in, and at least make a path in your snow for footage and, for good footing, not footage like is in video footage, but as in footing. So you have some footing to get out to your mailbox or whatever, and part of your got out through that snowbank at the end of the driveway out into the road. The plows are working really hard, but it's so heavy in areas that got the rain on top of the snow, where it's going to refreeze tonight. And not too many people out on the roads, rightly so. So that's what we were doing out in the front yard earlier. Appreciate all the plow services, and happy that you guys are getting a little bit of a payday. But I think for the end more, I'll just show you yesterday, tooling around and watching the sky and calling a little bit play-by-play. And this is how the ground looked at Boat's Burt Yard before today. I can't imagine what it's going to be like tomorrow. We could probably go skating down there. And then I went and parked the car over by Fort Point over there, and I looked up here. So from down there, looking up here at this construction project, which will be really interesting with all this weather and the heavy equipment coming in. Not tomorrow, not President's Day, but the next day. And so get a good traction right now. This is going to freeze solid. bunny rabbit prints, and the bunny rabbit goes around the corner over there. And our is your name Eric? Our biologist in New Hampshire says it's skunk mating season, so talk more about that if I ever see a skunk. But look at that rabbit track right there. Here's the and more from yesterday. Thanks. Very long video. Not in a hurry Sunday. I got most of the heavy lifting done already this morning, so indoors for the rest of the day. Talk to you in 24 hours. Hey, I didn't invite Steve or T-Rex out on this adventure. I didn't want them to suffer like we did. In between downpours, though, that's pretty good. And the temperature, look at that, still only 36 degrees. Oh yeah, and I forgot I got a ground thermometer over here in the worm farm. I talk about the cold ground. And so there it is. The ground temperature in the worm farm is 28. So that's why we're going to have a very slow melting of what's underneath the snow. And you got to clear it out now. All right, here we go. Oh, the ice bucket. I forgot the ice bucket. Glenn loves the ice bucket. How much snow? Oh, can I get it up? Yep. There's the ice bucket challenge. There it is. That's going to be solid for a while. All right, the end more from yesterday now. Still editing, but I think Steve wants to come in. You want to come in off the frozen tundra? We haven't even finished our Saturday's edit. And what was a blue sky is turned white. Next up, gray. Wall of precipitation coming at Boston. Air still coming from the north. Cold air running into cold. Cold air running into warm, rather. And we don't have a halo yet, but we'll get one. You want to come in, Steve? Oh, yeah. Barometer's very high right now, man. How low do you think it's going to go tomorrow? Is it going to get down to 28.8 here in Weymouth? That'll leave a mark, won't it? Yeah. What is wind, anyway? And a boatyard update. Wow, this is pre-storm. I think this is a cold spot where the water likes to accumulate. It should be really fun after the snow and rain. Look at this. We'll be able to launch them right from the winter stash, winter hibernation. Wow, it's just like getting deeper and deeper. And as for the saltwater ice down here, it's melting, but it may refreeze next week. Yeah, I don't think we can make it across. It's enough to support one mallard. And of course, focus. We're not focused. Yeah, a couple of months ago, it looked like we were going to have enough cold to get some more solid ice than that, but formidable. Just kind of an average old-fashioned winter, not the extreme kind. Looks like we got some construction. New dinghy dock coming to South Shore. Okay, work party. Come on, work party. Oh, well, we'll wait for the ice to melt, I guess. Okay, it looks still solid enough. It's a little damp, but it's hard to keep the snow off of it. This one we've been doing some big, yeah. No more hockey, it's just too rough, but still. Oh wait, there's one rink over there, right there. That's pretty tough looking. The salad people have been here. Tell what they had. Oh, Rex, I don't know if I can make it up here. Looks like some Mexican. Spinach, onions, lemons. Why they walk all the way up here and how they make it without falling is beyond me. All right, Rex, go ahead. Let's see if I can get up there. I don't have on my right shoes. I got my left shoes on. It's a dad joke. I can't make it up there. Rex, this way. Now he's eating it. 5:02. Talk about a snow sky, steel gray. It's snowing right over our head right now. Be reaching the ground in a moment. There's a different perspective of the side of the hill that we do out the door, whether and more from. And I was gonna take down the birch tree flagpole today, but I think I'm gonna wait one more day. Do it in the wind on our crazy Sunday, which it's now Sunday, right? So here's a time lapse of our Saturday, day 47 in a row, followed by day 48 in a row of New England snow. And the beat goes on.